Good evening, welcome. This is People to People, Power to Power, Positive Think People. This is Rodney Grimes. I'm coming at you. You know how we do it. We make things happen. I'm so excited. Y'all know what the day is. What is the day? It's Juneteenth. Juneteenth, right? That's how it goes. Juneteenth, we celebrating that. We celebrating the day of freedom. Let me tell you something. First, we all are born free with God in our life, number one. Always remember that no matter what. We all are born with the gift of life and freedom. This freedom is a state of mind. A lot of people are still enslaved from different things in their life, and that's just the way it is. And sometimes you just got to understand that in order for you to move forward, you got to feel that sense of freedom. So June 10th, guess what? That's June 18, 19, July 19, January 19, it is December 25th, all of them free to me, okay? And before I introduce my guest said he messed around and grabbed something and read it real quick. See, I don't like to try to steal the thunder from people, but I gotta, when he read this real quick, I said, you gotta find that page again, and I'm gonna read it again. But it says, faith is the most powerful of all forces operated in humanity. And when you have it in depth, nothing can get you down. Nothing. So remember that. Faith is the most powerful thing. And when you do that, believe me, that's something that God has put in our spirit for us to move forward. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been praying for us and keeping us grounded. And remember, as people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest, Mr. Tico Wells. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing, you know what? Supercalifragilistic.
I love it. I like that.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
My man, first of all, let me tell you, it's an honor, man, to have you here in the studio here at the People to People podcast. And I am just so excited about everything that's happening.
We got all kinds of noises jumping off, right?
Huh?
We got all kinds of noises jumping off.
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, we keep it real, man. As we know, God is good, and this is what we do. We do here in the People to People podcast. So if y'all hear some noise in the back and y'all start seeing me grab that 22 little pop gun I got over here and start popping people like that, that means for him to get out. But no, everything's good. So Tico, man, first of all, man, it's just an honor to be in your presence, man. And can you just tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Why you say that, man? You act like I'm somebody, man.
You are somebody. You are somebody.
I'm just a little country boy from Maryland, man. From D.C., Southeast, Northeast.
Okay.
You know,
right.
Benning Road.
Yeah.
Prince George's County, Maryland.
Okay.
Merlin. I tell people Merlin the magician. You know, say it like that.
Okay.
You know, when they. So I'm from the area. I came out here to help document a program I've been working with for the last 33 years.
Okay.
Called First Generation College Bound.
Okay.
And basically, what we do is we mentor, give support, and guide low to middle income family kids and their parents into college, and let them know that the government has set aside X amount of billions, I just say billions with a B, for them to go to college. Most of them don't know, and I think about 2.9 billion sits on the table every year that's just untouched.
And a lot of people don't know about that.
Nah, they don't know about it. And we try to get it so that the kids graduate from college debt free.
And that's part of the problem with individuals where a lot of them come out, they don't have that opportunity to really get into their studies or their gifts, what they went to college for, because they weren't about owing so much money when they come out.
Yeah, and also people don't know that, say if you didn't do so well in high school, like I wasn't a great scholar in high school. I was always in drama, band, sports, and other classes I did okay with, but SAT wise, I wasn't at the top, but that doesn't really stop you, anybody.
Yeah.
If you have the information, I think
Right.
so. It's a lack of information that people are dealing with.
Well, I always say if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of times, so first of all, I want to say thank you for doing that and being able to give people that opportunity. Because a lot of people that's probably traveled and did some of the things that you have accomplished in your life will forget about home. But to have you come back and, you know, and be doing what you're doing, man, that's kudos to you.
Yeah, nah, I mean, you know, when I was growing up, I wanted to leave the DC area because I thought everything was in New York and LA, and in a way it was, in terms of prior to the internet. Once the internet hit, that changed the whole game, and you can be anywhere and do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you always could. It's just that the perception
Right.
was that you had to be in New York or LA to make it big, or Chicago third,
Right.
and then Atlanta came up.
Yeah.
You know, but at this point, like we're here in Northern Virginia,
Yeah.
and we're doing our thing. You know,
That's true.
Information is king, and it can shape how we see life. I think information.
Yeah.
And whatever information we get fed, most of the time, that's what we build our life upon, whether it's factual or not. You know, and you were talking about freedom. Freedom, it's a state of mind, but it's also a state of information. Like, did you have a freedom class?
In school?
Yeah.
No.
Like third period, I'm going to freedom.
No. No.
You know, did anybody teach freedom? So we got out of quote unquote involuntary servitude, slavery, and nobody focused on freedom.
Mm-hmm.
We focused a lot on biblical studies because we saw that the people who held us captive were going to church, so we got into that. We were already spiritual people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could relate to that there was a higher force out there. I'm just riffing.
No, I'm listening to you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We already were spiritual people, musical people, earth people.
And that's amazing where we are today. We're looking at the opportunity for the information. Now we got individuals like yourself that's coming back and making it knowledgeable to other people.
It's hard. It's hard to be a person. Like I'm a information person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I live on YouTube, and most people who don't spend a lot of time on YouTube will probably think it's just a lot of frivolous, you know, BS going on. But which is true. But there's a lot of heavy information on YouTube, and you good?
Well, I'm good. Yeah, don't mind me. I was getting ready to send a text over to the director over there. I got the people there. I'm not ignoring you. Y'all got to keep it down. There's nobody in the studio but me and Tico. So I was getting ready to send that message, but when we on the air, it's just us. Okay. So I was getting ready to send that message. Please accept my apology on that.
Nah, ain't no
But,
thing.
yeah.
I just, you know, what I started doing when I started seeing people texting or anything, I'm training myself to stop.
No, don't do that.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because it's like that split focus. You ever been driving and then you get almost to your destination, but you don't remember like a whole stretch of road that it's like, how can I get from here to here? So there's something that goes on in the mind that's really not. It's like it's trained. We've been trained that we can multitask, and women love to say, "Oh, I can multitask. But really, there's gaps. There's gaps in our consciousness where we're not present. So I'm trying to train myself that whenever I see somebody texting, I shut it down.
Yeah. Well, me, what we doing is in the studio, we keep everything real. A lot of times, it's all about, you know, just doing it at different levels. So when my director over there ain't keeping an eye on what's going on, sometimes I have to send a little message.
Smoke
so I was
signal.
getting ready to send a little text message and say, yo, let everybody know in the studio, it's just me and Tico in here, so keep it down because they don't know that it picks it up on the sound. And when I'm on national television, I want to sound like I'm doing like Oprah and everybody else. I want to make it on that level. But
and before I forget, thank you, man, for having me on. I appreciate it.
That's not a problem, man. What I want to do is ask you about you doing this here, giving back to the community and everything. You having the opportunity to be in the movies, okay? Is that something that you always wanted to do? Because for you to be able to have that opportunity and then you still coming back home and helping people to worry about their education and things like that, that says a lot about you as a person.
Well, the founder of First Generation College Bound is named Joe Fisher. And Joe, when I was in 10th grade, he was my next door neighbor. So I've been knowing him since high school. And we just stayed in touch, and he went to Catholic University, was a track star, blah, 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 and got into college on a certain program that was a very low income based program. So he had this vision of, he felt like college did something good for him, so he wanted to make sure that he go back into the community. He's from Southeast, family, 8 kids in the family, and he felt like college was one way that people could have a decent life. And so he went on this mission, and I just tagged along, and as I started doing shows and everything, he would invite me to his school in Columbia, Maryland. I would come talk to the kids, work on my motivational speaking skills, and then as he progressed, I would come in as a guest speaker at our graduation sometimes. Then I started directing some of the videos and stuff. Matter of fact, we're First Generation College Bound on YouTube.
Okay.
And or either FGCB, First Generation, FGCB.org. People can go and check out the website. But it's not that I'm just giving back. It's a give and take thing, because they give me, we had graduation Wednesday, and we got 200 kids off the different universities, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, I remember that little kid, 10 years ago, like that, in the community, that we base everything grew out of this one community called Kimberly Gardens in Laurel.
Okay.
And it's a low income area, and poverty, some crime, some hopelessness,
right, but
some good people too.
Right.
So that's where he started the program. Knocked on all 300 doors, say, hey, I'm Joe Fisher, I'm doing this new program. So we've been in the heart of the community, starting in Laurel, Maryland, which I still can't say without sounding like a country bumpkin. But that's where I went to high school.
I ain't gonna try to say it because
Laurel, Maryland. We go to high school, Laurel, Maryland. So
that's great. So if
you were saying something about the movies,
right? I was getting ready to bring you to the. So, how did you get into acting, per se?
Watching Batman on TV.
Okay.
I would watch Batman in the '60s. Remember when Burt Ward and Adam West
yes,
and all them?
Yes,
all them?
yes.
So we had the telephones with the cords. We had a long cord. You take that phone all over the house, right?
Right.
So I would use that as my bat rope. Had my bathrobe as my cape. Had my pajamas on. Had my red galoshes. Had my Mickey Mouse ears. And I was Batman. That was my Batman outfit, right? I didn't have a mask. And there was a part where he would, okay, Robin, we're going up the bat, going bat rope, and then they had this music, and he go, then boom, the Joker would pop out. Hey, Batman, what are you doing? Boom, he closed it, and he keep running on, going up higher and higher. So I would wait for that part when he did the bat rope thing, and I would imitate stuff, and I would imitate voices. I started, I don't know, it was just in me. I just loved it. John F. Kennedy, I remember, I couldn't have been, John F. Kennedy, when was he president? Like 62, 60?
That was around 60,
killed in 63?
65, 60, something like that.
I don't think he made it that far. 63.
62, something like that.
He got killed in 63.
Because Martin Luther King got killed in 68.
So John F. Kennedy used to say, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." That was one of my first imitations that I would do, and I always had a knack for acting, and I thought it was just an interesting art form. As a kid.
The movie Five Heartbeats.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all do that in L.A. or was that filmed here?
We shot it in L.A.
Okay.
Yeah, I live in L.A.
Okay, and
I was living in New York. I auditioned in New York. Met Robert. Didn't get a script. I didn't know what the movie was about, other than the word on the street was about a singing group. And I remember walking down Broadway, and I looked up in the sky, and I saw like the Temptations or something, and I saw myself. I said I could do that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with the Temptations,
right.
the Dells, all that. The doo-wop groups and stuff. So I knew what that was. Eddie Kendricks was,
phenomenal.
My man.
Yeah. That back in the day, that was music though.
Yeah. But I'm not one of those guys that say, back in the day when I was, that was music. Music ain't nothing that. Y'all kids don't know nothing about it. Because I remember when Earth, Wind, and Fire came out, and my mother didn't quite know what I was listening to when Parliament Funkadelic came out. Well, and all George Clinton and all that. We want the phone.
I know.
Hey, they didn't know what was happening.
Right.
Because they were like, well, Marvin Gaye, blah, 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 blah. So my music was weird to her, just like rap is weird to a certain age group of people, right? But to the people who are coming up now, the teenagers, and what, rap is what their culture is in tune with. So it's music to them. And I think the older we get, sometimes we make we have the idea that they don't know what they're doing. And I'm trying not to go that route, and I'm trying to relate to them. Even when people say, boy, pull up your pants and stuff like that, it's like, it's a style to them. It's a culture that they don't want to be left out from their peers. And we don't understand it. It's like, get a belt, pull your pants up, right?
Yeah.
That's where we came from, right?
Yeah.
But how do we bridge that gap with young people? See, there's that generation gap that's so wide. And we keep going back and saying, well, your grandfather did this, and your grandma, and I went this, and and we lose a lot of young people like that because we don't relate to them.
Okay, so, but with that said, so I've read this not only in somebody had written it, but it was just part of scripture as well. We as the elders, we're responsible for the youth. The elders, the wise men, you and I who are over 50 and is going out 60s and 70s, we are responsible to give them that knowledge. We kind of like lost them in this transition, and we kind of took our hands off of them. We got to put them back on.
Well, I think one of the things that I notice is that, is this hat too dark over my face? I don't know. Can you see my face all right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in the shadow.
Yeah.
I think, this life is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The older I get and the more information I get, I see it as tools to survive. Even whether it's the Bible, whether it's a motivational person, whether it's some wisdom from different places. I get wisdom from different places. There's this idea that there's this rightness. And people say, and I hate it when they do it in sports. He plays the game the right way. What are you talking about? You're talking about throwing a ball in a hole. What's the right way to do that? If it goes in, I don't care if it looks like this, like that, like this, like that. What's the right way?
Right.
So it's just almost like a holier than thou attitude that we all get sucked into, that we know the right way of things that could have 1,000 different variations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like singing, like music. What's the right music? You know, you go to a gospel church. If you grew up in the gospel church and you love that sound, if you go into one of those Catholic halls and then you're like, oh man, there ain't no soul in that stuff. You know what I mean? Put some elbow, put some grease, put some sauce on that stuff. You know, but the people who grew up in that, sometimes they hear the gospel and they're like, oh, I don't like all that screaming and hollering.
Yeah.
You know?
But what is right or wrong?
It's not. Is it right or wrong?
The only thing that we find that in this area though now, what I say when it comes down to saying right or wrong, and that is this: when we have young people, I was talking to one of my great nephews, and I asked him this question: "Say, how old are you?" And he said 17. I asked my niece how old she is. She said 38. I asked my wife's 60. I'm 63. I asked my nephew, I said, what is it like to be 60 or 38? He said, I don't know. Because I know you don't know, because you haven't been there. But all of us in the car, all can say what it was like being 17.
Yeah. Can I jump on that?
Come on.
You just sparked something in me.
Okay, come on.
So, I know what it's like to be 17 in 1978.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be 17 in 2023.
Yeah, I follow you.
So that's where I think I'm learning and wanting to learn how to bridge that gap with the younger folks in my family, because they got the internet, they got cell phones. We have no cell phones.
Right.
They have 24-hour television.
Right.
YouTube. We don't have no YouTube.
Right.
I can get on YouTube and I can learn everything about damn near anything.
Right.
I could say I never lived in Hawaii before. Lifestyle in Honolulu.
Yeah.
Not even just Hawaii. Honolulu.
Yes.
Maui.
Yes.
And all this information will come sliding down where someone is hooked into that subject matter. I learned stuff that's my university. I'm getting my PhD and beyond on YouTube. And I mean, from the Bible, I don't read the Bible. I listen to it on YouTube. I let somebody else do the talking. And I sit back. Because that's a thick book. Not many people I know have read it all the way through. And I got tired of not knowing it. So I started reading it back in the 90s. But then, right now, if I want to, John, blah, 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 the whole chapter, let somebody else read it. History. I'm learning now that there were chocolate people like us here before Columbus.
For sure.
Okay? And the reason why I think so many black people say that they had Indian in their family is because we were here.
Yes.
Okay? But the DNA might say we're African and not say that we're Native American. What is Native American? If people came from different lands to land here, if they came from Asia and you do their DNA, it's going to say Asia. If you do our DNA, it might say somewhere on the continent of Africa. But what about the indigenous folk who came, who were here, who were a mixture of something, African and whatever else, you know? And who is really the first person anywhere? We have to find out where's the first civilization. Now, according to a biblical aspect, it says in the Garden of Eden, somewhere Euphrates River or whatever. We can find that on the map, right? But it's a big area that all the way over to Turkey, all the way, you know, it's a big area that it encompasses. Who really was there on the first day of the world to say where Earth started?
So, I'm with you, but
well, we're riffing. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay because you said something. I got to come back at you now on something.
Come on.
Okay. So we talking about 17 years old, right?
Right.
Okay. I know that a 17-year-old don't know what it's like to be in the 60s, because if he did, he would have more respect for himself.
he wouldn't be walking around with his pants hanging down. See, I understand that they don't understand, but see, back in the '60s, I was born when they was still lynching black men. Okay, see, they don't see that. They don't even watch it on television. They don't pay no attention to that. Right, man?
No. I'm sitting back. I'm sitting back because you're giving me energy.
Right, because see where I'm getting ready to go with this now. 17 is 17. See, what I want a 17-year to know is you still not a man yet. You're not a man until you take care of yourself. I don't care if you was born in the '60s or if you're born in 2023 or 25. A man here, we got 17-year-old boys. First of all, you walking around showing your drawers, which doesn't make sense. I don't care which state of mind you're in, and I'm gonna tell you something else. If you really know what that means that somebody done popped you in your behind, and that they did that back in the day to belittle us. So we talking about a 17-year-old then and a 17-year-old now. The thing is, both of us know that the 17-year-old is not capable of maintaining at a level where he be able to really understand the magnitude of him showing his pants like that when he's trying to get a job, because he doesn't comprehend. So our position, regardless of what year you're born in, 17 is 17. We got to remember, if a 25-year-old guy come to me and he tell me he just came out of the service and he traveled halfway around the world, and I got a 25-year-old guy who just came out of Nova or came out of one of the colleges, and I'm gonna sit down. I'm probably gonna lean to the guy who's been doing the traveling a little bit, because we talking about the experience
Now,
itself.
when you say lean, what do you mean?
Meaning, just for some of his worldly attributes in his conversation.
Okay.
So saying, like, I understand it's different times. It's different times, but the thing is here, we got to understand respect is still the same that it was back then. It's still the same with us today. It's just who uses it. The same thing applies even with us people of color. We still get treated like we're lower class individuals in certain situations. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what's on the computer. I know there's still a lot of these things apply. So what makes the difference is when we as an individual, we deal with the facts of it is right where it's at. One 17-year-old, 18-year-old, let me tell you something. I guarantee you one thing that I know for sure. If they come after you, lock you up, put you behind bars, and treat you like an animal, it ain't gonna matter whether it was 60 or 70 or 20. You're gonna be affected in a way that it's not gonna be receptive to you. Now, how will we deal with it? I think they still deal with it the same way. It is not gonna do nothing but break you down. What we do in the community when we come to our young people, we have to get them to go back and understand. Don't forget where you came from, because that's some of the things that build character. When you know, like you said, who was here first in America? Why do we walk around here afraid to claim this is our country? This is my country, bro. My grandfather, my great grandfather, and his grandfather was here. When I ain't saying my grandmother was a Blackfoot Indian. Okay. A lot of people laugh at that. Where you come from? But let me tell you something. I'm calling it as it is. And at 17 years old, it meant something to me, and it means something to me at 63. The difference is that I get to the point where I start to understand it, like Googling and getting the information. And then let me say something about the Bible.
Hold it before you.
Go ahead.
I want to address some of the things
we
before you. I can only hold, but
yeah.
My attention is like you start riffing out there, and I'm like, whoa.
Okay, come on.
Okay, so I'm hearing you saying that it doesn't matter. You're saying what 17 in the 60s, 17 in the 2023. You're saying he's still a 17-year-old, and you're not a man, right?
Right.
And I can understand that. At 17, for me, I didn't have a father in the home at that point. It was me and my mother.
Okay.
So a lot of things that maybe a father would have taken care of, I had to take care of for myself. Little basic stuff. Driving and eating and taking care of my belongings and guiding myself into where I was going to go. So, like,
I think everybody's really different and the same at the same time. They're different in that we're like a snowflake. Every little snowflake is unique unto itself.
Yes.
So if you and I were both 17, I'm 62 right now, right? You're 63. If you put us in the same, like right now,
Yeah.
we're different people.
Yes.
We handle things differently. You might have been able to handle the military in a way that I probably couldn't handle it. Or I might have been able to handle something else that maybe wouldn't turn you on at all. So I think we also have to look at the individualities of human beings. That the potential of every human being is unlimited and unknowable. Even the most, I don't want to say retarded because everybody says don't use that word no more, but every Down syndrome person is different. They got different capabilities. So I think it may be for me it's a trick bag to put people into a different to one conversation. I grew up in Landover, PG County, Laurel, all through PG County. A lot of my friends at Columbia Park, Maryland, ended up being on crack. A good number of people that I found out over the years, him? Or him? Not him, but him? I mean, so many people that it blew my mind. I was a person that I never wanted to be out of control with drugs. I never wanted that. I tried to smoke cigarettes. I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was choking. In high school in Laurel, we had a lot of weed. At lunchtime, we'd go out, drink, and smoke. Come back, right? I don't know if I don't know. This might be a clean show. I don't usually like to curse, but I do curse. But man, we would get blitzed at lunch and come back and go to school. But we were musicians and artists, so we took that creativity that weed or even alcohol sometimes can bring to you, and we channeled into our creativity. Now some other people might have taken the same smoke, drink, and want to go steal a car.
Right. But it
depends on what you're into, what your clique is.
Well, not only that, it all depends on your environment and what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
Because like yourself, see, I've never wanted to be controlled by a drug substance.
Yeah.
So I'm not that type of guy.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. When I say I really want to, I want to do it. I don't like to be impaired in my mind.
Yeah.
But I want to go to.
And just for the record, because we are going live, I don't do any of that right now.
Oh no. Well,
only because it doesn't call me.
right.
I stopped drinking in '84, stopped smoking in '84, and 15 years later, dibble dabble, but I like to be clear-headed.
Right. And I'm on the same boat. Yeah, but that goes back to we talking about. So we're gonna still, because I'm enjoying this. First of all, bro, I love when I start stimulating my thinking. And for everybody just tuning in, this is Tico Wells, an actor, drummer. This guy is a motivational speaker. He's a man that's coming back to the community, making difference in our hometown here. When we say the DMV, that talks all the way around. So if you're just tuning in, understand this guy is not just a guy that I picked up over at the mall. He's a well-grounded brother that's doing some fantastic things. And if you don't know, check out 5 Heartbeats. You'll see his skills.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go back to this, a reason why I'm looking at where we are in time and how we go about things, even when you spoke about the Bible, we talk about different things. A lot of times people are intimidated by this. You know why? Because they look at it as a big book. But you don't have to read it all at one time. Sometimes you're intimidated about doing different things because you're not exposed to the proper instructions. What's the difference between, we go back to 17, I'm gonna trigger you on something right now.
Okay.
So we go back to the 17. Let me tell you something, a 17-year-old boy, if he smoked marijuana, he's gonna probably respond the same way that we did back when I was 17 and the way he did this. One, you're gonna get hungry. Two, you're gonna get stupid, and you're not gonna be functioning properly. That ain't gonna change. The thing is what we are exposed to. If you were exposed to it back then, we didn't have to worry about computers. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all those options. Of course, so what we do, we play with popsicle sticks riding down the street when it rained. But here, what you do now, matter of fact, back in the day, when I was about 17, 18, or even a little younger, if I found a gun, right? The first thing I would probably do is take it and go to one of my elders and tell them that I found it. See, but the young boys today wouldn't do that. That's because of what they're exposed to. Now, but are we still immature at a point of not understanding the ramifications of it? Like, I didn't understand the fact that I found a gun, that I put my hands on it, because it could have been a weapon to just kill somebody, and I could, have my fingerprints on it. Same thing. We got to realize that the young people, they are just young in mind, not developing to a point, regardless whether they here or there, they still are young in development. And it's up to us to be the elders to get them to understand which paths to take. We're in a crisis right now. We got boys that's not 17 but 14, 13 out here killing people, right? What causes that? That's not because they had a cell phone. For real. You know what that comes from? That comes from the lack of our elders, from us not educating our kids and giving them the proper love and attention. You and I, we know. You said coming up as you didn't have a father in your house?
At certain points.
Okay.
Yeah, at a certain point, yeah.
Okay,
When
well,
my parents got
I had a father.
separated. And
My
divorced.
father was crazy as I don't know what.
Mhm.
You feel me?
Mhm.
So sometimes when we look at it, it's just what you're exposed to and what you have to work with.
Do you believe that certain people come through with a certain type of genius in them?
Oh yeah, I believe that it's embedded in you. I don't think that I tell people. You know why you was able to do that movie? Because you was already built. You was built for it when you was born.
Yeah. I
See,
think
God
so.
already established each one
think
as a
so.
path. If you're gonna be a knucklehead, guess what? God already know that he gonna be a knucklehead. Sorry, he just got that played out on him. Now, what he do with it from there, that's on him. Because a lot of knuckleheads have come out to be famous individuals too.
Yeah. Totally.
So what we got to do is we got to put ourselves in a position where we say, you know what, man? Let me tell you something. I do know this. I believe that everybody is born with a sense of passion, love, and a desire to be around other people. And
See, I haven't found that.
you haven't,
Not at all.
but you entertain people.
Yeah, I entertain people and other people entertain me, but I have not found that everybody is born with that passion. I see some people, they look like just bumps on a log.
But
know,
I'm talking about little kids.
I'm talking about little kids too.
But if
You
you
know,
take,
like some, you ever seen a little kid? They just so withdrawn.
that's because of his environment.
But I'm talking about from day one.
Oh man, I don't know what.
I'm
Seriously?
talking about from day one. I've had little cousins and stuff that was so scared of me,
Well, again,
and others, the same age or younger, wide open.
but again,
So that's why I see the similarity in the majority of us, and I also see the individuality.
and that's true.
Look at Michael Jordan. We're still talking about Michael Jordan. There's probably not a day goes by that Michael Jordan's name is not spoken in every major city in the country, around parts of the world. He has something different about him. I mean, he's an asshole in a lot of respects in terms of what people might think of his behavior. They might look at it and say, he's an asshole. But they also say he's the greatest that ever did his skill. Everybody on his team, they don't say that about Luke Longley that was on the same team. They don't even say that about Scottie Pippen. They say Scottie Pippen was really good.
Right.
They don't say he's the greatest. They don't compare Scottie with the greatest. There's certain people that come to the planet. I love Frederick Douglass' story. I love Harriet Tubman's story. And and I get what Kanye said when he said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. She just got them out of off their plantation and delivered them into society some kind of way where it might have been a lot better. But they weren't necessarily even free, because most of the people that you know don't feel free.
Well, that's freedom is a state of mind.
It's a state of mind.
Okay.
But it's also yeah, I like that. I like that.
Okay,
State
but
of mind.
let's go back to the children thing.
Mhm.
So I use this situation with puppies,
Yeah.
right? Not saying children are puppies,
Yeah.
but you know some of the things that the closest to is dogs. You know, a lot of us in this country. I'm trying to tell you.
Nothing but the dog,
you,
man.
you already know. But let me say this. So you take a group of puppies, right? And you put them all in there, and you got one puppy is gonna be a little aggressive, and the other one's gonna be this dumber. But let me tell you what happened. If you take all of the puppies and you constantly patting them and rubbing them, all of them get filled with the love, because it's in them. When children are born, children are God's gift to this earth. That are the most innocent of everything that we have. And one of the things that I'm gonna tell you something, if a kid is 3 years old and you came at him and he run from you, 9 out of 10, you got a missing tooth, your breath stink, or you have one of your eyes is jumping or something. Because I'm not saying that to be a joke. I'm just saying technically most kids are receptible to kindness and love. You're gonna find them that if they're not, it's because they have kind of been exposed to this negative energy. Because everything that a child has is pure. Everything. From the minute that they're born until they're able to start talking. You get a lot of kids don't know nothing about profanity. They don't know nothing about beating. They don't know about nothing until they see it and they're exposed to it. That's where I went back to the point when I was talking about our elders. We're responsible for our young people.
Yeah, but what about the elders who are just like my stepfather used to say, call certain people numbnuts. You ever heard that term?
Yeah,
Numbnuts.
yeah.
You know, kind of like a doofus.
Yeah.
you know that term,
Yeah,
doofus? It's
yeah.
just like something is not quite on a high level up here. And you talk about a Harriet Tubman. Why was this woman, we still talking about her, whether we know the facts or not? We probably don't know much of the facts, but we know that there's a story about this woman who was bold enough to say, I'm getting up out of here. I'm getting up out of here. Any of y'all who want to come with me, I'm getting on that Underground Railroad and I'm getting up out of here, right? That wasn't everybody. That's
Because-
not everybody today.
No,
You
it's
know what
not
I'm
because
saying?
not everybody has that will to run or survive.
Yeah.
So, but one thing is this.
What makes that though? What
makes
you
that?
know? Like
what-
you said, is it something from birth? Is it
No, see, because what makes it is, first of all, our Creator. Each one of us, like a hand, okay? Each one of these fingers serve a part, okay? So when God created us, not all of, even with twins, identical twins, it's
Not the
something
same.
different. It's
Something
it's
different,
something
that's right.
different. Where are we as individuals? One, let me tell you, God is nothing but love, and we are made in His image. So I believe that you know, this is
I don't know.
me. Me
Yeah,
personally,
I
I
don't
put my life on it.
Yeah.
That God has made. He made us in His image. That through His process.
So if we're in this image, what is missing in us that allowed ourselves to be in slavery?
That's because guess what? See,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, one of the things that you can be misinformed too. Do you think that blacks was the only ones enslaved?
No, but you know, a lot of stuff we attribute to the Creator, and I could attribute everything to the Creator.
Right.
But then some people, you know, like when I was in church environments where they would say, when people say, well, what about all the wars and stuff? And they say, oh no, that's the devil.
No.
Right. But then they say, well, didn't God make the devil? And
Okay.
then people can't answer it. They say, well, yeah, He made the devil, but the devil went rogue, right? You heard the story that
Yeah.
he was kicked out of heaven and all this
Right.
stuff, those stories. So it's a lot of information that's very creative about what the Creator is.
But one thing I can tell you this: if you really want to know the Creator, you go to Him in your own time, in your at your lowest, and you open up your heart and your spirit. God will talk to you. He will reveal who he
Not
is.
even in your lowest,
No, okay.
in your highest too.
Okay, even in your highest. And what I
Yeah.
can tell you is what I do know. I believe that even with every child, you can take a Asian child, a white child, a black child, Indian child, and guess what? You take any one of them and switch them up from their parent and put them in a house with love, they're going to grow up to be pretty decent individuals, because what they're getting is they're getting what God intended us for. Most of us right now, we wonder why these guys is going crazy over in DC and all around the world right now, all these young people. That's because of lack of our not putting that agape love in them, not walking in God's footsteps. Here, I'm not telling you, you can believe in God any way you want to, but I'm going to tell you this, spiritually, God exists, and everything on this earth has a purpose. And everything on this earth is connected, even the good and the bad. And did God create evil? No, evil it's evolved. God gave us a beautiful planet. He gave us something.
So does evil exist? Do you think evil exists?
Oh, definitely it does.
So what did God create?
You know something?
In your opinion, I'm not.
No.
When
I think that God did, I really believe that God created a paradise. Do you consider a snake evil?
No.
Huh? Well, guess what? For real, it's not.
Right.
It's a process of this earth. It does things that we needed to do. A fly. Half of us can't stand a fly. But guess what? The fly serves a purpose.
Right.
So each one of us in our own way. When God created this, we the ones who started. He gave us the will. And I didn't say God made a mistake. He gave us the will. He said, even here, you can come to me whether you want to or not. Because I believe this. Let me tell you something. I believe that the spirit never dies. And I believe that even with each one of us, as we move forward, you're setting your pattern, and God is saying, you know what? I'm going to give you that option. Mm-hmm. He'll say, Tito, you know what? I'm going to give you the option to make the decision whether you want to come back and help people or you want to just go around and sign autographs. That's up to you.
See, I don't feel, and I hear you what you're saying on that. I don't feel like that for me. I feel like when I let God guide me, it's not even conscious. It's just who I am. I love helping people. I get some kind of thrill out of it.
But you was born like that.
It seemed like I was born like that.
You was born like that.
Yeah.
Nobody just didn't take it from you.
It's not even like, I don't even look at it like God is asking me a question. You want to do this or you not? It's just there.
Yeah.
Like with music, I just love music. It's not like I'm not even thinking, do I like it?
Let me share something else with you. And I'm going to show you how God works. When I was in the Marine Corps, I met some white guys who they had never been around black people before. Mm-hmm. And when we got in there, they called us coons. Uh-huh. So when after we came out of boot camp and we got overseas and everything, I had one of them, this boy, I'm going to say his name because I'll be hoping I run into him again. His name was Miller. And he was in the Philippines in 1979 and 1980. So Miller, if you see this, I want you to get in touch with me because you got some unfinished business. But I'm gonna keep it real.
Hoorah!
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. So what happened is this: they didn't even understand. So this is of the world and man, right? And a lot of them came, man, they was treating us bad. But then when we got out in the jungle and we was doing our jungle patrols and stuff like that, man, the white boys started to realize, man, these brothers, they adapt real good with this. And we became a unit. And then I had a white guy named Snyder from the Marine Corps that was off the chain. Any patrol that I was on, I wanted to be with him. Mm-hmm. Because I knew he was unique in his way. But I wanted to say this. The ones that didn't understand and they was going by what they were taught and what they was exposed to, before we left after being there 2 years, let me tell you something. Every one of them white boys came over to us, and me and many other brothers from different cultures was hugging and crying. We became brothers. Mm-hmm. We became Marine brothers. It didn't matter anymore.
Well, some people don't believe that that's possible because they've been taught race so intensely, and they never had, like you said, the environments.
It's the environment. So that's my point. But let me tell you what happened. See, God, that's what God shows. Mm-hmm. See, the white boy that told me that he thought I had a tail, I didn't like him at first. Mm-hmm. But then me and him ended up being in the same room. Mm-hmm. We became good buddies. He realized I ain't got no tail on me, man. I go to the bathroom like you do.
Now, can you imagine growing up with that type of ignorance?
But that's not, you know
You know what
something?
I'm saying?
That's
When you
not
think
something that
somebody's-
you're born with.
Well,
You're not born with it, bro.
I would say.
You gotta be taught.
Yeah.
You don't even know how to poo
yeah,
or
yeah,
pee.
exactly.
You gotta get trained to go to a potty.
Yeah.
Most
so
of it-
for somebody to think that another human being has a tail, somebody taught them that.
Well, you know something, but that's where I'm talking about. That's so true. Oh, we got a caller. Uh-oh. Let me listen. Oh, we got some questions too. Let me get the caller. Hello, caller. This is People to People. State your name and where you calling from.
Hi.
Hello. Yes.
Hey, Rodney, this is Charles.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Man, I like what you two are talking over there. It's one thing that sparked my interest that you all said. I gotta say it real quick if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Talk to me.
So, when one of you said God didn't create evil, I beg to differ. I can tell you in Isaiah 45 it says, "I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things." Now, I say He creates evil, good and bad, but what He does is give you the free will to make a choice, to choose between good and evil. Now, He always tells you to choose life, and He always wants you to show love, and He giving you instructions what to do. But now, if you decide you want to choose evil, then that you got to deal with the consequences that come with evil. So choose life, choose good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you the right person to call in. So, cause I know we do studies with you. When me personally, I just don't believe when people say this. They said, "God, why did you do this to me?" And if it's something happened bad, God is not to me is not a God that's gonna punish you just to see you hurt. So that and we go through that. Somebody lost their child, and they said they was mad at God for a long time. I wanted to ask them, why are you mad at God because your child died? Because guess what? The other person's child gonna die too, and the one after that one, and then your mama, your sister, all of us going to transition. It just happened to be at the time. This is their time. But is God doing evil to you? No. So what I think is a lot of times when I say that God created evil, I think that, as you said, God give us the will. He give us the will to know right from wrong, and we choose. You want to go the dark path because that was in the beginning, and we talking about like this: is a lion evil? Is he? Technically, for real, really not. He just do what he do. He do exactly what God intended for him to do.
So peep this. Is a criminal who shoots and kills an elderly woman, takes her money, robs a house, is he evil?
To me, he is.
What's the difference between him and that lion?
The difference between him and the lion is this: the fact that he had the choice and the will. See, the one thing about a lion is this: the lion ain't coming. We got to realize something. If you go into the lion territory, you in a different zone. Mm-hmm. It's going to do what it was meant to do.
So what's the difference between us going into that zone of that criminal?
But you know something?
And that just came to me.
What goes into the difference with the criminal is this.
Now wait, hold up. Now where you drawing this from? Because you coming at it real quick, right? Like, is this something you've been thinking about for years?
Or something that I study the word. So where I'm at is I'm not judgmental.
Yeah, but he just refused. See, the thing about that book that I've discovered, the book that we call the Bible, usually minus the Apocrypha, which is a whole nother set. You heard of the Apocrypha?
Right.
I
got the right ones on the phone right here.
No, I'm asking you.
No, me, I'm learning.
Okay, so there's a section called the Apocrypha. You hip to it, brother?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, most Bibles don't have the Apocrypha in it now. It used to have it in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so it's gone through many translations, right? The most powerful, most probably influential one was called the King James Version of the Bible. And a lot of people know that, but then after a while, people start publishing other Bibles. I've been involved with some Bibles, and one of the Bibles I did was an all-black version. We only got through one half of the Bible, and then the people who owned the publishing, dig this, the people who owned the publishing for the Bible got together and said, we're no longer going to use that version of the Bible. We're going to translate it again. Now, we've put all this money into publishing Samuel Jackson, Blair Underwood, Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, all these people, and we recorded this one Bible. Now, it's no longer current because the publishers decided we're going to update it and we're going to put in a different version of it, right? So they had to scrap that, and it didn't sell like they wanted it to sell, only because of the version.
But it probably didn't sell also because it wasn't the truth.
No, it came from a translation of the Bible.
With
word
the translation,
for word,
okay,
word for word.
yeah. Well, when the only thing that I stand on is this. Now,
It's called the NIV. You heard it, NIV.
Yeah, I'm not. One of the things that we said it right here. It says, let me go back. It said, faith is the most powerful of all forces operating in humanity.
Right.
Faith.
Right.
What is that? That's what's in us. That's what your relationship with the Holy Spirit, what you talking about, God Himself. You call it whatever you want.
Right.
But when we deal with that and you have the unconditional faith, let me tell you something. Evil, everything else is going to come clear to you. They can tamper with it as much as you want. How many times have I read the Bible and didn't understand it? Many, many times. How many times I still read it and don't understand it? Many, many times. But when do I get the answer? Is when I go to my faith and I go to God directly and I open up my heart unconditionally,
Right.
and then I get it. And that's even with an evil child. Let me tell you something. I always tell the people, if you walk past, I use dogs a lot. If it's a dog that always bite, right? And you walk past and keep giving him a biscuit every day. Eventually, when he see you, his tail ain't gonna go erect. It's gonna be wagging because he's gonna be looking for something. Because you're gonna start bringing him back to that agape love that was really in him when he was born.
Well, you influenced him.
Yeah, but you call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But through the process of it, it's the same thing. When I went in the Marine Corps, I didn't go in to be a killer.
Right.
But guess what? That's what they trained me for.
Right.
I became a paid killer. I'm sorry.
So our society is doing that to our young people. The environment that they grew up in. A friend of mine the other day said, "Look, man, you know you got to watch your cars out here, man, because they're trying to take this car and they're trying to take that car and blah 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 and catalytic converters and stuff." He's repeating something that he's seen on television. He knows it's happening in the environment because he lives in it. And they say the word is powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his faith is leaning towards this is going to happen. So whether it's positive or negative that we're looking at, that faith you're talking about is powerful, you know, on both sides. But going back to the scripture, there's a scripture that says, "Do not eat of the tree of what? Knowledge of what?" You know that scripture? Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. How do I translate that? And I do translate words because I have the free will to do so.
Right.
So that means for me, don't get into good and evil. Don't even mess with it, because first of all, you really don't know a man's story. Somebody could start off and you say, that's an evil so and so and so and so. Next thing you know, this person is totally transformed and is, you know, doing great things that we might think are really great. So I'm working with myself on my own judgments about people, my own judgments about myself.
Right. And that's where I am too. I believe it or not, I'm not one to point the finger and say whether he's evil or good or whatever. What I am on, I'm working on my inner self, me personally.
That's a full-time job,
That's
right?
a full-time job. And what I do
with overtime.
Oh, come on now. And guess what? And the more peace that I find is when I start to come in tune with myself, understanding not to be judgmental and worry about what the next man is doing or how they doing it, or whether they evil or not. Because if my purity in my heart is pure, that's what counts for me.
Let me ask
in
you
my
something.
walk.
Are you feeling like, because we're around the same age group,
Right.
I feel like the 60s are freeing me from having to worry about everybody. What am I driving? What are they driving? What am I living in? What are they living? What kind of shoes am I wearing? What kind am I blinging? And I'm getting so far away from that crap. It's beautiful. Are you discovering that in this point?
Yes,
in your life?
I am. But you know what? And on top of that, I know we got some questions. We're gonna run over a little bit, just a little bit. But I want to also let everybody know, I'm loving this conversation with my guest Tico Wells. I'm telling you, he done opened up a can of worms up in here, boy. We fishing. We going fishing. So I want to tell you that's powerful, baby. Now let me tell you, I want to tell everybody this. Check this out. Don't forget it's Juneteenth, right? They talk about freedom, right? Hey, Z, find that, straighten that out up there. Okay. So, what I'm telling you right now, we talking about freedom.
We're talking about freedom. And I'll tell you one thing. I used to be a staunch Christian. And it's like God took me out of it, not to put Christians down or lift Christians up or push them to the side or anything. It's been a valuable part of my development. But what happened for me was God lifted me up into my true spirituality, which was freedom.
Come on.
Which was freedom to say, I'm not what you think I am. I'm not even what I think or thought I was.
Yeah.
I'm a child of the Most High, which means, what is the Most High? It says we're created in the image and likeness in certain texts, namely the Bible. It says we're created in image and likeness. That means I got the same stuff, maybe in a smaller quantity, but I can draw from the allness.
Yeah.
I'm no longer enslaved by my religion. I went through a period in my life where I was so holier than thou. It's no coincidence that the part that I played in the Five Heartbeat was what? Choir boy, right?
Yeah.
The guy from the church. But as I've evolved through time and as I've been exposed to more things, I realized that the Bible has a connection to ancient Kemet, a black nation, which we call Egypt now. It has ties to other parts of the world that I didn't know about. I had to educate myself on who the heck was the Roman Empire. What was that all about?
Yeah.
I didn't know why they kept saying Christianity was a Judeo-Christian thing. Why they keep saying that? Judeo, I thought it was Christian. No, the Romans kicked the Jews' ass, took their scriptures, kicked some other ass, took their scriptures, put it together, and then act like they came up with some originality. Now people say, well, God intended it for that to be, okay, that's cool. I'm just saying some of the history I'm learning lets me understand that I didn't get that history in church. Matter of fact, in church they were telling me, don't ask too many questions.
That's because with some people back then, they didn't have their understanding and knowledge of moving forward. Hold on a second. We got a couple of questions to our viewers. Go ahead.
Yes, Skitter Scat. He says, hello, People to People podcast, and Tico, question. What made you know your path just strictly for you?
What made me know my path? It's still unfolding. I always knew that I liked being in front of people, entertaining, and I thought I was going to be a Washington Redskin when I was a kid. I loved the Redskins of the late 60s, early 70s, all the way into the 80s, and I'm still I guess a Commanders fan. But I knew I loved sports. I loved entertainment. I had a vivid imagination, and I think it's life. This is my life path. I don't know how that happens, other than people just throw everything and say, "Oh, it's God."
Okay, it's God.
So if I can add to that, and I'm gonna say this, because even God places different things in you. Not everybody is born to be a track star. Not everybody is born to be a football star or a singer. But you have a talent in you that God has given you, and you just got to take the time to realize what it is. And then when you do realize it and you use it, then it develops, and then you will be able to become a professional or a good athlete or whatever the case may be. Okay, are y'all still there? Hello. All right. How you doing?
Hello.
I can hear you. I can hear you. You got something turned up.
Oh, now I can hear you. I was trying to call earlier, but I couldn't seem to remember the number.
Okay, go ahead. That's Prophet Katrina. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Very interesting conversation.
Did you just cut off?
Cut her
Wait a
off.
minute. Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I said interesting conversation. Where should I start?
Or you start wherever you want to.
Well, I wanted to say that when God at the beginning of Genesis, we got to take it all the way back. What God did and what He said. It's not that people. God didn't create anyone to be evil, but because of pride and because of manipulation and because of jealousy and envy, all types of spirits, that's where the evilness came. If you take it back to Cain and Abel, and you take it back to when he killed his brother, he said, "Are you am I my brother's keeper?" That's what Cain said. So I just want to say that we got to get to the point where we build our own relationship and fellowship with God, because God is so much more than religion.
Yes, I
And
agree.
when we base
I agree.
our spirituality on religion, it confuses all of us. And so what God is saying this hour, go in and shut the door so I can talk to you myself, so I can tell you who I am myself. Yes, we can listen to pastors and we can listen to other people that release the word. You can even listen to me. But does not mean everything I speak is correct. It's just simply saying is that you have to do your own research and where are you with God. These young people, I just got out of a conversation about what happened at the White House about the transgenders showing their breasts and about, the drag queens. God did not create any of that. Those are the systems of the world. Perverseness. And a lot of people, I got gay people in my family, but does not mean that I agree with it. I took it all the way back. I just finished talking. I took it all the way back to Obama. Obama he signed a legal document that says that 2 women and 2 men can get married. He signed that, whether he was forced or not. He signed it, and now that has come to fruition, it's just gone haywire. Because why would those young men or young women, whoever they were, up at the White House like that, and then had a pride flag hanging, which they took the rainbow and they tried to mock God. The rainbow is a covenant with God and His people.
Well, Prophet Katrina, we gonna end up having to do another segment because we really done went into a whole different arena. I appreciate you calling in, and we got some more questions over there. Oh, that was it. Okay. No, I get you. You know something? Where we at right now, I just think that everybody, you need to get into that closet, you and the Holy Spirit individually, to a point where you're able to figure out what your destination is. Tico, you said something earlier. You said you still learning who you are. Did you not say that earlier? You said...
I said my path is unfolding.
Right.
Yeah.
So but we still are here, and you
Yeah,
can
I'm still
agree.
growing.
I'm still growing too. That
still
you
growing.
and I can agree to that.
Yeah.
That we are still growing. We are
Yeah.
still learning things about ourselves, man. That's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hear me, that I'm learning how to not be so aggressive and to be able to respect individuals for their belief and understand that everything that you read from the Bible is not going to lead you to the righteousness of the way you walk. It's what's in you, because you may not understand.
And also, go ahead. Were you finished?
No, go ahead.
Also, when I got free spiritually, I was no longer enslaved by the Bible. And what I mean by that was, I didn't even know the Bible, but I was enslaved by it. I wasn't a Bible scholar, let alone a Bible historian. I didn't know why certain stories repeated almost verbatim from different books. The same story, but with different people. The going around and killing all the babies and stuff, that repeats in the Bible. What kind of God? That's like a sick-minded God. I'm not bound to none of that crazy stuff. And I don't consider myself Jewish. I don't consider myself Hebrew. I'm a being discovering what this life is all about. So the labels, when I got free from the labels, it was like, I can breathe. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to look at a person and say, well, they drink, so they're bad. Or they don't eat meat, so they're good. Or they eat meat, so I don't have to go through none of that. I don't have to look and say, my young brothers and sisters in Southeast who are killing each other, I don't have to say they're crazy. I know that everybody doesn't have the same strength to overcome some of the situations that they get pulled into. In the movie 13th, they talk about how the prison system was created for the so-called free slaves. They didn't have no penal institution like that. And we've been seduced into criminality as a culture. And it's black, white, and all kinds of stuff now.
But that goes to, again, by some design. But, hey, let me tell you, you got one more, then we're going to have to get out of here because we went past.
Can I say something, Rodney?
Go ahead.
Okay, I hear the brother speaking, but when we realize that we are created in spirit, body, and soul, forget the theology, forget the what we believe that God allowed and didn't allow, because God is God all by himself. He's going to do what he want to do, when he want to do, and how he want to do it. It's up to us to yield and align up with what we know is right, because we all have a conscience, and
Right.
we all live a life of conviction, I hope, that we know the difference. Now, with the young kids, I got to speak on this, Rodney. With the young kids, those are spirits. Those kids go into drugs. If you look at the liquor store, what does it say? Those are spirits. The spirits that make people do the different things that they do. And we have to come to grips with that when we know who we are. Everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. And I'm not talking about die physically. I'm talking about dying spiritually, meaning that you got to look in the mirror at yourself and say, I'm a liar. But now I'm going to start telling the truth, because I ain't going to bust hell wide open. You got to deal with yourself. Because when you deal with yourself, then you understand who God really is. Then you can love your enemies. Then you can love those who persecute you and say all manner of evil against you. Then you can love those who contradict the word of God. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Then you understand what the word of God is already talking about. And let me tell you, everything that was written by the hand of God was not printed. Something was printed that never even made the Bible. People don't even talk about that. So we got to get to the point that we understand we got to die daily to ourselves. And it's not about our finite mind. We can't even conquer nothing unless we desire to be unconquered. And when we become unconquered, that means that we have died to self. Now that's what
Amen. All
Hey,
right,
hey,
all right,
hey,
sister.
hey,
Take us
hey,
there. Take us there.
hey,
But, look,
Prophet
but check
Katrina.
this out. Check this out, sister. Can you hear me?
Yes.
See, I'm funny with this whole thing about God's word. I'm real funny with that. First of all, did God create words?
God created words.
Okay.
God created numbers. Let me tell you, God created words and numbers.
Okay, so hold it right there. Hold it right there. Hold it right there, please.
What you're confused?
Hey, hang on a second.
hold on.
Hang on. So, if God created words, then that means all words are God's words because He created words. So to say that someone knows God's word, to me, sometimes I move away from that language because it starts to feel arrogant to me. And when people say, "Oh, this person doesn't know God's word," before any words were ever written, there were spiritual people who were in tune with the will and the energy of God, because that's what we are. We are that energy. Like you said, a little baby. They're already that. So to say God's word fits into this bottle, it started to feel limited to me, that I can limit God. And I like what you said about we can't even imagine the immenseness of God. I'm with you on that.
So let me say this. Hey,
Hey, I got time. We can go another hour if you want.
hey, okay, cause see, I'm gonna push it till 8:30, cause he's my guest, and I don't want him to say when he come back in town, I ain't going back over there to people.
No, we got, like you said, who taught us to listen to each other? We were taught a lot to be talked at. A lot of times when you go to church, the minister is talking at you.
Hey, hold it, Katrina. Hold on, babe. Hold on, okay?
Okay.
Wait a minute. Hello. State your name and where you calling from. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Rodney and Tito Wells. This is Faustine.
How you doing?
Come on, talk to me, Faustine. Go ahead.
No, I just been sitting here just listening to Tico. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I was just listening to you and how you were saying at 62, you know, how your thoughts and how you're thinking as it relates to the word and how you went and found out what was
Get over there for me.
Whatever. You know, earlier you were talking about those different things and how the Bible was translated by man, I guess. I think Rodney said something about the NIV.
Well, I mean, they didn't have chat. What's that thing they got now? Chat GPT. Are y'all hip to that? The AI. So I know the AI didn't do it, but yeah, it's men, it's Romans and Englishmen and Egyptian people and Roman people and yeah.
Okay. Well, just listening to you and about the word and God, which I don't like using the word God, because even if you look at some of those Bibles that were translated, they let you know that they removed the names and put in Lord and God, and just like on your money, in God we trust. What God? Because it says that Satan is the God of this world. Okay, so I don't use God, and everybody say God, what God?
I feel you.
I use Yahushua, I use Yah, I say the name.
Are you a Hebrew Israelite?
Excuse me?
Are you a Hebrew Israelite?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I am not, but...
Why did you ask that? Wait a minute. Hold on, Faustine.
Because when I was hanging out with the Hebrew Israelites, they would say Yeshua. Or they in the group in New York, they would say Yahawashai. People have been trying to find out different names for gods and throughout history. But go ahead.
But my train of thought jumped out of my head. We're 62, right?
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say, even with that, with the words and everything being changed, and you had said something about in the Bible, it talks different ways or 4 different ways in reference to how the story was taught. But if you really listen, look at how the Bible says it say according to. And even in that, some of those writings were done way after those Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which we already know those were not their names, because there's no way it was a Matthew, Luke, or John or whatever. But in that, it's just like an accident. If you saw it, Rodney, Lady Z, and myself, each one of us would give a story and maybe leave something out. You know, that's kind of how I see each one of those gospels is given the word. But I want to ask you this. And in the word, it should be the scriptures, like you say, man made the Bible, but the scriptures. Do you believe it's more of maybe in it a mixture of historical, mythology, allegory, you know, and, you know, just pearl, instead of everything being like verbatim, like.
I get you. I feel you. Yeah. I mean, you know, you can't hardly tell a story accurately from 5 days ago, let alone 5,000 years ago, let alone 100 days ago. And so you translating the Torah and all of these quote unquote Hebrew texts, which they derived from other people. They didn't create that either, from what I'm discovering. So we've been asked, particularly coming out of slavery, to surrender our power, not only to this country, the government, but also to what was the popular religious train. And that happened to be some form of Christianity, whether it was Baptist, Lutheran, Episcopalian, which my mother grew up in, Catholic. You know, when I grew up, we didn't even know Catholic was Christian. We didn't know Catholic was the grandmother of Christianity. So it's a lot of stuff that we were fed as children that we keep rolling because we say it's tradition, like ham hocks, you know, and salt. We eat salt, and how many people say, you know, black people gonna get high blood pressure, but we keep feeding the babies more and more salt and more sugar and more junk food. Everybody knows a Twinkie ain't no damn health food, right? I knew that as a 5-year-old, but we keep doing it out of tradition. Also, peer pressure. People don't want to feel like they're the oddball. So it's the same with the gangs. If you're in the neighborhood and a whole group of people on your street are, you know, this particular gang or whatever, a lot of kids don't have the strength or the family support to say, that's not me. Because, you know, we don't want to. Democrats, why do we vote Democrats as black people? Because we don't want to seem like oddballs.
So, I gotta interrupt. And Faustine, I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, darling. I love you. And you see if you can get her up real quick, because I gotta shut this down.
Say something. Just say something.
Hey, Katrina, can you hear me? Katrina, is she still there?
Yeah, she's there.
So, everyone that just tuned in, this was, you know, they tell you 2 things that you don't want to get into. You don't want to get into talking about no type of religion or whatever, and you don't want to get to talk about no politics.
And why is that?
Well, you know, so because everybody has their opinion.
And it's gonna it causes arguments because number one, we haven't learned to listen to other people's viewpoints without feeling some type of way, right?
Yeah.
We haven't. I'm just learning. I'm taking a course. I took a course on just how to listen.
Right. Hey, go ahead, Katrina. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Let me just say this. It doesn't matter what is written and what is not written. The bottom line is, if we look around, we know man did not create this earth. We understand that there was a God that spoke something into existence, and that's why we are so creative, is because we're made in his image, and we can speak things into existence did you understand that I am possessed by Yahweh? Because God has many names. You may not want to call him God, but God is the God of all gods. And God, Yahweh, Yeshua, Hamashiach, you call it Emmanuel, you call him any name you want. But I can tell you one thing, at the end of the day, when the judgment shall hit us all, we will all find out the truth. And the truth of the matter is that we will face our maker. And we don't argue, we don't fuss, we just talk and we have enlightenment. We have enlightenment conversations about what we believe and what we don't believe and where we are and where we're not are. I know one thing. I had an encounter with God in the garage where I fell out. Okay? And he took out my stony heart, the heart that was full of lies, betrayal, malicious things to people. He took out that heart and he gave me a new heart. And that's why I'm able to say that I am fully possessed by the God that created all things.
Thank you.
Hey, we got one last question, and then we gotta get out of here. Oh, you got something you wanted to say?
Question.
Oh,
Two-part question.
go ahead. Just say it then.
This goes back to your movie. So, how many times do you get asked to sing?
How many times do I get asked
How
to
many
sing?
times do people see you and say, "Can you sing that song?"
Not that much.
So it wouldn't be a problem if I asked you to sing. You don't have to. I had to try.
Hey, you're free.
Can you sing the
Which
theme
one we
song? Heart.
Rise up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Saying don't worry about a thing, every little thing is gonna be alright.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's my show. Let me tell you something. We was here. You still saying one more question, but let me tell you something. It got to be quick and fast because we got to get up out of here.
Just want to get it in. I know what. Wait a minute. When did you know what you're doing was going to change your life? What mindset did you have in that time?
Say that again.
When did you know what you were doing was going to change your life, and what mindset did you have in that time, at that time?
So when did you know you was going to get into acting and do the things?
You know, when I was about 4 years old, I was in church, and I was in the middle aisle, and it was the end of summer vacation Bible study, right? And my talent was to say my ABCs as fast as I could. And so I went A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, N, P, Now I said my ABC, tell me what you think of me. Bam. And the audience went crazy. And in that moment, I knew that I had to be in front of people and make a difference. So probably when I was like 4 years old.
So, with that said, everybody, listen, this is the People to People podcast. Let me tell you something. We keep it real when you come here. I can have people in the studio today. We got Tico Wells came in. He's one of the actors from 5 Heartbeats. Let me tell you something. Tico came in here and opened up a can of worms, and we all went fishing, and we started catching fish. Meaning we was catching knowledge, we was getting some conversation in. I love you, bro, man. Much respect to you, man. I'm telling you, you're an amazing guy. You always welcome here in the house
Thank
of the
you,
people
man.
to people
Thank you.
family.
Appreciate you, man.
Man,
Really do.
right. And
Keep doing your thing, man. And you touching lives, man.
I thank you, bro.
Touching lives.
It's people to people, power to power, positive thing to people.
And shout out to James.
Yes.
James Hart.
Yeah, you know, hey, you know they up in here. Come in real quick. Run over here, James, real quick, and jump in that chair. Cause y'all already know we ain't gonna get right there.
This your shit.
This
That's
is
all right.
This is my brother from junior high school,
Hey,
aka middle school.
How are you?
This who over there was making all that noise.
So I know. Look, I've known these two guys just about all of my life.
Wow.
All of my life. You at 12 and you at 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Right, so
and this is what it's all about. So we just say, guess what? It's people to people, power to power, positive thinking people.
Hey. Freedom. We need
Okay.
Freedom.
Yeah. Ha.
Talk about freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
Come on, James.
We talk about freedom, yeah. We talk about freedom, yeah.
Freedom.
Talk about freedom, yeah.
Freedom.
Okay, I said everybody talk about the way that
Come
we
on.
be going. This is when we talk about the day when we were born.
Yeah.
We talking about the way that God have put us in our feet.
Yeah.
And have us so we wake up and then we go to sleep.
Come
We
on.
try to get the knowledge and we understand each other.
Yeah.
We come out, we talk about our sisters and our brothers.
Push it.
Oh,
Push it. Push it. Push it.
come on. Say PTP, baby. PTP in the house. PTP, oh yeah. Come on, James.
no, this is done.
Look, he holding back. We got the sing up in here. But everybody already know.
Let them
This is-
know you can sing. Let them know you can sing.
Let 'em know you can sing, yeah.
Let them know you can sing.
Come on and give me some.
Listen, y'all don't know how I'm enjoying this. I'm usually one singing, so that's good. Go for it.
Hey,
And you can rap.
I can go a little bit. This is
Happy birthday.
yeah.
Happy birthday.
It's Juneteenth, baby.
Happy Juneteenth.
It's Juneteenth, baby.
Happy Juneteenth to you.
PTP in
Happy
the house, yeah.
Juneteenth. Yeah.
PTP.
Come on, come on.
Positive
come on,
thinking
come on.
people. Said PTP.